What's up? It's me, ya boy, the one who only recently started appearing in the majority of the videos. I'm here to complain about something that bugs me a lot. Personally, it pisses me off. And it's part of a bigger issue, but I'm going to talk about, I'll maybe, briefly mention the bigger issue at hand. Basically, you hear it a lot. Well, the kids hear it a lot. Maybe some adults. Older people, I'd say, I don't know, older people saying stuff like, "Oh, what do you know about depression? You're too young." That whole thing. I mean, I haven't experienced it a whole lot personally, but I've seen it happen, and the few times I've experienced it have been annoying. The bigger issue at hand is older people trashing younger people because, they're obsessed with technology. They're insufferable brats. I mean, some of us are, but it's besides the point. Yeah, but specifically this issue is telling us we can't be depressed because we're privileged younglings. Yep, younglings? Youngsters. I mean, this is part of two bigger issues. The other being people who deny people have depression, like this, Twitch streamer, Sin Bear, who basically said, I'm paraphrasing here, "Depression is so stupid. I don't understand why people are depressed. Oh, you're so privileged. You can't be depressed." It's those type of people. That's the two bigger issues which condense into one, being older people telling younger people they can't have depression because they're privileged and they're young and stuff. Because they haven't experienced life. Yeah, I've seen it happen a lot. Because, I don't know, I guess older people think because you haven't lived as long as them, you can't be depressed. And obviously, that's not true. It can be genetic, and can be environmental, and wham, you're born, wham, you're cursed for the rest of your life to be clinically depressed because you lost the genetics lottery. Yeah, I mean, genetics, that sucks. Environmental, you can go through a lot of trauma in your early life. It doesn't even have to be trauma. You could just grow up and have a really hard time, and it just affects you to that point. And it's really distressing to see people say, anybody, in fact, even other kids say, "Hey, you can't have depression because you're really young. Oh, you don't have depression just because I don't think you have depression." Those kinds of people. And it's really irritating. I had a falling out with a couple of my friends, both of which were depressed. And they accused me because, I don't know, I was a bad person, I'll admit that. I acted in a terrible way. And they apparently started saying that I fake my depression. No, I don't. I don't. I didn't. I still don't. And, I mean, it hurts even more that they're my friends and they were saying that kind of stuff. But in any case, it's just irritating. It gets to a point where it's like you see this, whether it be real life, the internet, wherever, and it just gets so tiring because it's like, can you just leave people alone with this? Because, I mean, if they have depression, they're suffering. They aren't having a walk in the goddamn park. It's pure suffering. And older people specifically, it's just so tiring, honestly. The consensus from most old people towards kids seems to be they're special little snowflakes that think they deserve everything, and then they can blame everything on silly things called mental illnesses that they totally made up. It's like, I'll admit, there's some people who do say they're depressed and they don't have depression. Like I talked about in my previous rant. Check that out, by the way. Self-promotion. And it's I mean, a few bad apples ruin the whole bunch. There's a few people, maybe the older people, or maybe even the younger people. Because remember, this is a broad issue. Maybe they encounter somebody who's faking their depression, and they have that view of everybody. And I mean, in that case, sure, it may be mean to just say, oh, you don't have depression. But it's valid. Your first encounter with somebody, whatever it may be. Basically, it's possible. Yeah, it's possible that somebody's faking their depression, but to assume that right off the bat because they're young, they're old, they're whatever, is not a good thing to do. You can't assume that. And I'll admit, I've done that before. I've judged people. I remember a few cases where there was somebody I knew who was one of the more popular kids, so I assumed that they were fine because they lived in a socioeconomically great part, and they had a lot of friends, and I assumed because of that they weren't depressed, and I was wrong. When I got to know them more, they were severely depressed, and that did wake me up to it a lot. It woke me up to, recognizing the people who aren't telling the truth, and recognizing the people who are. And yeah, I mean, it's a hard thing, because obviously if you're making judgments based on just the first glance at somebody, then that's not a nice thing to do. Another thing that annoys me is the clear, disregard for actual reasons why depression in teens is rising. They have to go to a place at 7 in the morning, be there for 7 hours, and they're loaded down with hours of work at home, and they're put under mass amounts of stress from just education alone. I mean, there are other things, sure, but I mean, schools, personally, I'm really stressed because of school. Mainly because of school. I get incredibly stressed because, I have a lot of work, and it's piling up, and it's stressful, but that's a big reason I've seen why a lot of people are stressed and depressed, because they're bogged down with so much work constantly, and it stresses them out. It stresses me out. And that's not the only reason, obviously. There's stuff like home life and the general state of the world being pretty garbage, honestly. Because, the world's falling apart. Our society is being destroyed. And, yeah. So, to wrap this whole business up, just like to state my idea over again. Basically, young people can have depression. Shut up. Anyways, don't forget to hit that like button like it owes you money. And subscribe if you'd like to see more of this content, because I like making it. I don't know about my mom. Mom, do you like making content like this?
Yes, it's fun.
You heard it here, folks. She says it's fun. Anyways, have a nice day, folks.